195 max weight.
Okay.
10 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
And 12-ounce clubs. And most of you guys know boxing, right? Most of the fights are with 10-ounce clubs. Fighters spar in 16-ounce clubs. 12-ounce and 10-ounce gives you a little bit more safety, which is the key here, given the size difference, but there's a massive experience difference. We will have 3 world-class judges ringside that the commission has approved to ensure there's a rendered decision for the fans. It will not go on their record, but there will be 3 experienced judges, some of the best in the business, giving their view of who won the fight.
So let me just follow up with this then. You know, the Florida statute says that it means an exhibition means a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts.
You saw the exhibition of Floyd and Logan.
Okay.
So just go with that, and if they weren't trying to hit each other, then tell me they weren't trying to hit.
Gervonta Tank Davis is pushing himself harder than ever in training camp for his clash with Jake Paul. His sessions have turned into pure warfare, hours of non-stop sparring, relentless pad drills, and punishing conditioning routines that test every ounce of endurance he has. Surrounded by elite coaches and sparring partners, Tank's focus and aggression are unmistakable. Every punch he throws carries a message that he's not here to entertain, he's here to remind the world what real boxing looks like. With every round, he's sharpening his tools, preparing to prove that true, hard-earned boxing power will always rise above celebrity hype and social media theatrics. Showbiz The Adult warns that Jake Paul may have just made the biggest mistake of his entire career by calling out Gervonta Davis, a fighter still in his absolute prime and arguably more dangerous now than ever before. He points out that Tank has already dismantled taller and stronger fighters, names like Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, with a mix of power, precision, and adaptability that few can match. According to Showbiz, Jake might think he's following the same formula that worked against aging fighters like Nate Diaz, or when he teased a matchup with Mike Tyson. But this situation is completely different. Tank isn't a retired legend chasing one more payday, he's an active, world-class champion at the peak of his career, with speed, sharpness, and knockout intent in every exchange. Showbiz insists Jake has walked into uncharted territory, a fight where charisma won't help him, and where the difference between an entertainer and a real boxer will be exposed in painful detail.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, you know, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, you know, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. I don't, even at the beginning of this year, and even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, which he was critical isn't much. You know, I mean, the Lamont Roach fight, I mean, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry-picked. You know, I think Tank thought, oh, I'll just fight another guy from, you know, the Mid-Atlantic area who's, you know, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and, you know, you're left with that. So, like, you're making a point about, like, oh, he's got this obligation. That's true, but he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, 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 and, you know, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge, and, you know, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about, like, whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then he, you know, does a draw in that fight.
However, some boxing experts believe that Gervonta Davis himself may have taken on a challenge that's too big, literally. They caution that Jake Paul's natural size and strength could prove decisive once the bell rings. Tank's dominance in the lighter divisions has always relied on speed, timing, and explosive knockout power, but moving up to face a naturally heavier opponent introduces a new set of risks. Analysts remind fans that weight classes exist for a reason. They protect fighters from mismatches that can tilt the balance unfairly. Even with Tank's elite skill set and killer instinct, facing someone as large and physically imposing as Jake Paul could stretch his limits. It's not a question of talent, it's a question of physics. And that difference in weight might be the one variable that could truly test Gervonta Davis like never before.
Left hand, down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you can even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5-0. He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Kisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves, it's still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral, and both these guys are going to make a shit.
At the press conference, every spectator noticed one thing immediately: Gervonta Davis's calm, unshakable composure. While Jake Paul thrived on drama and verbal fireworks, Tank sat quietly, steady and confident, radiating the discipline of a man who doesn't need noise to make an impact. His demeanor wasn't fueled by arrogance, it was built on preparation. He knew exactly what he was there to do. For Davis, this isn't about fame or headlines, it's about proving that real boxing isn't defined by viral clips, but by mastery, patience, and intelligence inside the ring. Every glance, every pause, every word carried purpose. He didn't need to shout to command attention, his silence spoke louder. While Jake entertained the crowd, Tank reminded everyone that champions don't need chaos, they create moments through precision and performance. That press conference made one truth impossible to ignore: Gervonta Davis isn't coming to perform. He's coming to dominate.
Paul will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win.
Respected trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas draws an interesting comparison between Jake Paul's upcoming fight with Gervonta Davis and the earlier exhibition bout between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. But he's quick to highlight the difference: this one isn't an exhibition, this is real. Atlas points out that while Jake may hold a natural advantage in size and reach, Davis holds the advantage that truly matters: experience. Tank has spent years refining his instincts, composure, and timing at the highest levels of the sport. These are things no amount of gym time can replicate. Atlas explains that while Logan played it safe with Mayweather, Jake won't have that luxury against Tank. Davis is a relentless, calculating finisher who punishes every mistake. And in Teddy's eyes, once the bell rings, Tank's ring IQ and technical sharpness will completely neutralize Jake's strength. Experience, Atlas says, is the one weapon that always cuts deeper than power.
So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bad. Everything on the line.
Gervonta is an animal for real. Jake is too domestic. Here's the thing, Mike Tyson's an animal too. He was just 60. But he messed around and he got a prime.
Analyst Luke Thomas offers a deeper, more psychological take on Gervonta Davis's preparation. He notices that something feels different about Tank this time. There's a calmness in his energy, less noise, more reflection, not out of fear, but out of awareness. Thomas believes this isn't just another training camp, it's a moment of transformation. Davis understands the magnitude of what this fight represents, not only for his legacy, but for boxing itself. This isn't just about a paycheck or publicity. It's about defending the sport's credibility against the rise of celebrity boxing. Thomas explains that such mental evolution often happens when athletes realize they're representing something bigger than themselves. It's a mental test, one that challenges focus, patience, and emotional control. He adds that this calm version of Tank could either be his greatest strength or his biggest challenge. If channeled properly, that maturity could sharpen his accuracy and timing even more. If not, the pressure could slow his rhythm. Either way, Thomas sees a deeper, more mature Gervonta Davis emerging, a man determined to prove that discipline, not fame, defines greatness. The rising tension between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis perfectly symbolizes the collision between two worlds, spectacle and sport. Their explosive face-off wasn't just about trash talk, it represented everything this fight stands for. On one side, Jake Paul, a larger-than-life influencer who's turned ambition and marketing into a fighting career. On the other, Gervonta Davis, a world champion built from years of sweat, pain, and precision. The contrast is magnetic. Fans are drawn in because it asks the timeless question, can raw strength and celebrity overcome technique and discipline? This matchup is more than a fight, it's a cultural moment that captures boxing's evolution. Jake embodies the entertainment era, Tank stands for its tradition. The outcome will echo beyond the ring, defining what modern boxing truly values, showmanship or skill. As the fight approaches, the anticipation isn't just for punches, it's for the message that this clash will send about the sport's soul in an age of fame, money, and ambition.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that stuff came with Floyd Mayweather.
Promoter Nakisa Bidarian adds fuel to the fire by revealing a crucial detail: both Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis will fight using 10-ounce gloves. That single decision instantly sets the boxing world ablaze. Typically, heavier fighters use bigger gloves to reduce impact, but with smaller ones, every punch becomes sharper, faster, and far more dangerous. the choice levels the playing field, favoring speed and timing over raw protection. For Jake, it means less cushion against Tank's explosive counters. For Tank, it means an even greater chance to showcase his power against a larger man. Vidarian explains that this rule wasn't random, it was designed to balance spectacle and fairness, ensuring both fighters face equal risk. The result? A fight that promises pure intensity. With lighter gloves, every exchange could change everything. Every second could end it all.
Want this, or I like this when I heard it? No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're gonna find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's gonna sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people wouldn't go and everything else, that just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that, it's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that, but I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life, I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bang! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loves Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right. Anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget. And I'm not saying I like that either.
As the countdown continues, the world's attention remains locked on Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, yet, somehow, Floyd Mayweather once again finds a way to enter the conversation. It's a reminder of Floyd's uncanny ability to remain relevant, even when he's not in the ring. He knows how to control narratives, how to keep the spotlight within reach. But while the discussions, predictions, and debates rage on, with fans divided between Jake's power and Tank's skill, one man remains completely unfazed, Gervonta Davis himself. He continues to train with quiet determination, blocking out the noise. Every day, he's putting in the work to remind the world that boxing still belongs to boxers. Because when that bell rings, talk ends and skill begins. In the end, all the noise fades. Only action speaks, and Tank Davis intends to let his fists do the talking. And that wraps up today's coverage. The stage is set, the energy is rising, and history is waiting to be written. Stay tuned, because when these two finally step into the ring, the world will be watching to see which side of boxing's future will prevail.